am pleased to announce all of you, Guthrie Center is the first school out in Region 1 for Heartland to get these materials. I think you're even the first school out of all of Heartland to get the materials. Another school was supposed to get them ahead of you, but the snowstorm paused to do it. So, you are the premium rollout of this. We've been working with Fluency a lot, and it is everybody's hope that our kids get fluent, but no one really helps us how to get it there. No one tells us what we're supposed to do, what order we're supposed to do them, how long should we do it? Is this the right thing to do first? What does it mean if Johnny and Susie can't do it? Help. Okay, we've been hearing you. You might remember back in October, I told you the math consultants were working on this document to get them done. It wasn't December like I hoped, but it was January, so we've got them hot off the press. I'm going to go through and figure out what to do with them today. So I'm going to have you in your books a little bit later. You don't need to page through right now. I know you want to, but close them. I know. Give you a treat and then I make you get rid of it. I get that. Let's go ahead and do that. If you don't have paper with you, I have some plain notebook paper here. So if you don't have a piece of paper, come get a piece of paper. And you were asked to bring something to write with. I don't care what you write with. But here's what I want us to do for just 1, maybe 2 minutes most. All right? I want you to think about what a fluent reader, I know we're talking about mathematics today, but I want you to think about reading right now, all right? So I want you to think about what a fluent reader would look like, what a fluent reader would sound like, and think about how you describe a child or a group of children who are fluent readers. Think about characteristics of a fluent reader, and I'm going to ask you to independently write on this. I don't care if you write sentences, if you write phrases, if you have bullet points, whatever style works for you. But right now, take about 1, 2 minutes tops and write on what a fluent reader would look and sound like. Give you about 10 more seconds. And as you finish up your thought, I'll give you an opportunity to share in a minute. All right, so put your pencils down for that. You've got some basic thoughts. What is fluency for reader? Now I'm going to switch it up. And this time I want you to be thinking about describing a child or children who are fluent with computation. And people think bigger than just fact recall or fact fluency. Think bigger than that. So what are the characteristics of a child? Pick your grade level if that's easier for you, that you would consider computationally fluent. So just make a line across your paper and write now another minute, 2 minutes tops on computationally fluent. Quick write on that. I'll give you about 10 more seconds. And as you finish your thought, let's go back now and tell me maybe some big ideas about reading. What are some things you came up with for a fluent reader? Just out loud. Tracking left to right.
Sometimes they scan the article before they read.
Okay. Scanning it, big ideas. Okay.
Decoding unknown words.
Decoding unknown words, I like that.
Reads with expression.
Reads with expression.
Pays attention, punctuation. Yes.
Punctuation.
No long pauses or delays.
No long pauses, delays, no hesitations.
Or repeating of words or phrases.
Okay. So I've heard fluency. I've heard punctuation. I've heard decoding. Anybody think about vocabulary? Do they have a good working vocabulary if they're a fluent reader? For their grade level, right? Okay. Do they have any idea what they read?
Yeah.
So comprehension, maybe I read it and I know what I just read. Aren't those ideas about being fluent readers? Okay, more?
Wait a second. Not really. You know why I say that?
Okay.
Because when we have kids read to us and we're timing, they're just supposed to get as far as they can, as fast as they can. It doesn't matter if they retain
Word
it.
recognition is one thing and comprehension is another component.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm going to be a fluent reader, I'm going to have both components.
And how do you explain that to parents when you do CBMs and they're fluency based, like with our Iowa tier, and the idea is just to read as far as you can, as fast as you can. And
I think I'm going to deflect that question to the reading consultant, who would have more research base on it than I would.
some
Is that a
folks
fair
have-
thing to do?
They do have those comprehension questions, but
Sure
for
we do.
reporting purposes, we don't use that.
I think it's two different ones for sight recognition and being able to read without it and then understanding what you read. I think they're two different components. Think now about what you wrote for math. What does a computationally fluent math student look like?
They can apply their facts in their daily work.
Apply their facts in their daily work.
And they can show their thinking with pictures or.
Show their thinking with
Diagrams,
pictures, diagrams, drawings.
Understand what they're being asked to do.
Understand what they're being asked to do. Yes?
Have multiple algorithms to solve the problem.
Multiple ways in to solve the problem,
Yeah.
multiple ways to solve it. Good.
They know how to get to an answer in a way that makes sense to them that they can explain to somebody else.
I like that. They can get to their answer and explain it to somebody else, justify why it works. Excellent. So I'm not gonna have us get in a small group and work on this. We're a small group already. How do you think those fluent reader and fluent mathematician thoughts are similar and how are they different?
I think processing, when I think about my kids that are not fluent readers and that aren't fluent with their math computation, I think they process slower than those who are fluent.
Okay. Thank you. More thoughts?
I think you do have the occasion though when you have kids that struggle in reading but are math whizzes or vice
Sure.
versa.
Mhm.
And I think it's so easy sometimes to lump them all. We spend so much time on reading
Sure we do.
that you look at that grouping and you're like, okay, well, that's
They
kid's
must have
gonna struggle
difficulty.
all over, but. it
And then
sounds-
somehow numbers make sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I shouldn't generalize that, but I just was thinking about a student that I worked with today. I know.
More thoughts? When I thought about this, I always thought reading basics were like the phonemic awareness, the phonics, the fluency, the vocabulary, the comprehension. I think those are kind of my big five. So when I tried to put those in mathematical sense. So I thought about decomposing numbers, taking a number apart and putting it back together again. So factors or maybe pieces that make up add-ins to make something up. I thought that might be similar to some of my phonemic awareness, the sounds that a word makes. I can take it apart and put it back together. Numbers I can take apart and put back together, especially for base 10. I thought those really worked really well together.
Place, knowing what place, because a
Yeah.
number is this, because it's in the tens place.
Exactly, the place value component.
You know, anchor to 5 and 10, we do a lot of that.
Absolutely.
5 and 2 more, 5 and 1 more.
anchoring to 5 and 10, absolutely. I thought about phonics, like L. It has a particular sound, it looks a particular way. Well, 7, it looks a particular way, it means a particular quantity. I thought those related really well together. Fluency. I think being able to read at a appropriate rate for your age level with expression. And so with math, being able to compute at a reasonable rate with accuracy, they seem to go together. Vocabulary. Well, I have to build my vocabulary as I learn in reading to build up my ability to read more and more complex texts. The same thing in math. I learn more about different kinds of numbers. I started with counting numbers, maybe worked to whole numbers, then maybe I went to fractions and decimals and integers and all those kind of numbers. And comprehension. Did I know what I read? Okay, well in math, did I understand what it's asking me to do and did it make sense with my answer? I thought those things worked quite well. So, why don't you think about this statement? Fluency is not meant to come at the expense of understanding, but it's an outcome of a progression of learning and sufficient, thoughtful practice. It is important to provide the conceptual building blocks that develop understanding in tandem with skill along the way to fluency. The roots of this conceptual understanding often extend 1 or more grades earlier in the standards than the grade when the fluency is finally expected. So if I'm expecting a fluency in grade 2 of adding all the sums that are 1-digit numbers, it didn't start in 2nd grade. There's some anchoring pieces underneath of it, and that's what that's about. So the purpose of the activities that we've included in this binder in front of you are this. I want to develop conceptual understanding. Well, that's a good thing, the core requires it. I want to build on a child's understanding of the mathematical properties of whatever operation I'm working on. I want to have all the standards of mathematical practice, engage with all of those. I want to establish consistent number sense routines, and I want to build math fluency without a timed test. Research is showing us that's not going to lead to lasting understanding.
But what if you need to do that for progress monitoring?
I've got another way to help you do that. I give you something else to hang your hat. Okay. There's 3 kinds of activities going to be included in the book that we gave you. Even though this came from Engage New York, you do not have the Engage New York curriculum. We pulled out only the fluency part. So whatever curriculum you decide to use, this can front load it and be used because it's all matched to our Iowa core standards. All right, so the 3 kind of activities in here are counting activities, choral and whiteboard exchanges, and sprints. All right, so if it's a counting activity, they say it's good for pre-kindergarten through grade 5. I'm going to tell you, I think it's really good through 8th grade, especially if I'm going to be including integers. So counting up and down, back and forth, going up, starting at unknown pieces. If I count by 3 and I always start 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, well, what if I start with 4? Can you count by 3s if I start with 4? Oh, your brain sweats a little bit harder. So that's why I'm saying I can use them for all levels. Counting forwards, counting backwards, it supports my addition and subtraction knowledge. Skip counting supports multiplication. If I'm a 3rd grade teacher, I'm skip counting a lot. Counting exercise can be timed competitions, different than a timed test, and I'll explain why. And it can be done either as a class or as individuals. There's choral and whiteboard exchanges. Now, these are meant to be very fast, very quick. They're efficient, interactive drills and games for a wide range of skills, quick, just informal assessment, rapid completion for multiple practice problems, create intensity for the students to practice, and you get students with immediate feedback. Okay, there's examples in all those. And sprints. Okay, sprints are the timed component, but it's completely different than what you think. We're going to do one together here today, so you get the idea of what it is. Sprints allow for rapid completion of multiple practice problems. They create intensity, they give students quick feedback, and they're motivational for a very near-term goal. Do it now, talk a little bit, and in 2 or 3 minutes, do it again. Did I improve? All right, we're gonna try a sprint together. This is just a snapshot of what it looks like. I can do this for any level. Now, folks, I chose a 5th grade sprint for us to work on. We're teachers, we can do all those things. So, I'm gonna explain what we're gonna do here. And I'm going to explain it as though you're teachers, not as children, all right? So as a teacher, I have a sprint A copy and a sprint B copy. Sprints are developed with patterns. These patterns are going to be what students are going to be noticing. They're going to build on the patterns, and they're going to use that to strategically build their automaticity with facts. Oh yeah, I want that automaticity with facts. You're going to tell the students that you're going to give them 60 seconds. You want them to do the sprint as many as they can, as fast as they can, and we want them accurate, but you're gonna go down, all the way down the row. You're not gonna skip any. You're not gonna go back and forth. You go all the way down the row and then go to the next row. You're not gonna skip, and I'm gonna give you 60 seconds, and you can't get them all done in 60 seconds. But if anybody's got the fastest pencil around, if you happen to get done, on the back of your paper, you can start counting by 6s. Let's just start with 6, and I'll just count those as correct numbers too. Okay, so now when you've done that, you've set the stage for the kiddo who thinks, I'm good, I know them all, I can just put my pencil down and I'm done. No, you don't have that distraction for everybody else. They can turn their paper over and they can keep working and that brain's still going on. I would be amazed if your kiddos can get that far in 60 seconds, but you've given them that option, okay? All right, so sprints are designed to develop fluency. They should be fun, adrenaline-rich activities that intentionally build energy and excitement. A fast pace is essential. Think about pep rallies, gearing them up, rah, rah. You're the coach, this is the cheerleader, you're the cheerleader, these are the players out there. You are really gonna build excitement for that. A rousing routine fuels the motivation to do their personal best. Student recognition of increasing success is critical, and so is every piece that they do for improvement. Now, when I hand these out to you, I don't want you to look at them. I want them upside down, okay? This is sprint A. You don't look at the front half. So, upside down. They got them. Okay. You want to do one too? No, I do not want you to skip around. I want you to go right down, but you don't get to start yet.
Is that bad?
So you go down, you said?
Yeah, they're numbered in a minute, so in a minute. Now, what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to X out this, and I'm going to put up a stopwatch so that we can all hear 60 seconds. And what I'm going to do is when it's time, I will say, get on your mark, get ready, get set, and then I'm going to say the word think. When I say think, that's your clue to turn it over. Don't write your name on it, that takes time. Okay? When I say think, you're going to turn it over, and you're going to go work as fast and accurately as you can. And I'm going to give you 1 minute. Now, when I say think, then I'll hit click to start it. So you've got that 2-second delay to turn your paper over and find number 1 and let the bifocals focus. I get all that, okay? Everybody comfortable? You know what you're doing?
No?
Get ready. Think. You can do it. Go. I know. if I was a classroom teacher, I would tell my students, put your pencils down and pick up a pen, a colored pencil, a crayon, whatever, because I'm going to read the right answers. And if you miss them, you're going to want to write the right answer in, and I so get that. So if you missed it, we don't cross out, we don't erase. Right now, you can just put on the other side. All right, I'm going to read the right answers down as far as I get, and here's the deal. I won't know where to stop unless someone tells me that, I got it going on. The Engage New York materials indicate they want you to do it 2 ways. Oh, that's just annoying, that flashing thing. That's just really annoying. They suggest 2 different ways. The number 1 way is when I read the answer, if you get it right, you say yes. Yeah, with enthusiasm. And if you don't like the noise in your room, you could do a fist bump, you can do a high five, you can do whatever you want. And so I know how far to go. On this particular sprint, there were 44 questions. I don't know how far I have to go. All right, so if you got it right, you either give me a hands up, or you say yes, or whatever you think you want to do in your own classroom. Karen.
I got a question. So, like, are these supposed to be in their simplest form?
That's something that you can decide, okay? I choose to put everything, instead of like 8 fourths, I put 2, because I wanted it simplified.
Okay.
That's you and your classroom discussion, and you can decide how you want that. I did myself as
I
simplified
both
as
ways,
far as I could.
because I didn't know how you wanted it.
Yeah, I did as far as we go. Are we ready to read? Okay, 1 2 fifths,
Yes.
3 fifths,
Yes.
4 fifths,
Yes.
4 fifths,
Yes.
3 eighths,
Yes.
5 eighths,
Yes.
7 eighths,
Yes.
7 eighths,
Yes.
3 tenths,
Yes.
7 tenths,
Yes.
7 tenths,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Okay, next column, here we go. 10,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
10,
Yes.
10,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
12,
Yes.
9, 9. Are we done? Do we need to go any farther?
We should have a fantastic math end. Or if we got bookends, what math whiz over here and you got Amanda over there. We should
Okay,
have
now, I'd like you to count up how many you got correct, and there's a spot right at the top that you put up how many you got correct. So count how many you got right, and put that number up there. Okay, and as teachers, now comes the power. The power of a sprint is now sharing of strategies. How did a student think to get an answer correct? So you're going to ask the students to share. Well, how did you get for problem 1? How did you know it was 2 fifths? What did you do? And let the students share strategies, similar to what you're doing with number talks. Okay? Everybody gets a chance to do that. If you have not heard what you believe is an efficient strategy, this is where you get to pull in, I heard a student tell me one time, and you get to bring in that teachable moment. Make sense? The power of a sprint lies in between doing the first one and doing the second one. It's like the Oreo cookie, the good stuff's in the middle. So the good stuff in between sprint A and sprint B is the discussion that's going on. All right, so, for example, tell me how you do number 23. I heard someone say yes when I said the answer was 10. How'd you do it?
You divide 6 into 12 and multiply it times 2 times 5.
You divided 6 into 12. What did that
Actually,
mean?
I didn't. I put 66, but you could do it that way.
Okay, so, you said I put 6 into 12. How much was that?
2.
2. And then what did you do?
Multiply times 5.
Multiply by 5. And is 2 times 5, 10? Did you understand that process? Is there another way?
Yes.
Sure, what's another way?
5 times 12 is 60, 60 divided by 6 is 10.
Oh, you did 5 times 12 was 60. And 60 divided by the denominator of 6 was 10. Did that work? Did somebody else do it another way? Okay, you get the idea? Okay, now, we've had rich discussions on all of this. Rich discussions are probably taking 3 minutes for the whole page. This is not your lesson, okay? Now, you can set that aside, and now I'm going to give you sprint B. Same day, same moments. So same deal, upside down.
You would do 2 in a row? I'm gonna have
Yes, absolutely.
Me too.
Don't look upside down.
I have no idea, but I
Can
do it like, I do it that way.
Oh, you have a whole bunch.
I can do it.
What are you doing looking at? Okay, the questions, they are not the same. They are patterned the same. The numbers are not the same. They are patterned the same, yes? Okay, same deal goes. I'm going to say, get ready, think, on the word think, you turn over. I'm giving you the same 60 seconds as soon as my computer goes back on. I'm giving you the same 60 seconds, it's thinking. I see it. Are you ready? On your mark, get ready, think. Stop, put your pencils down. Okay, here we go. We're going to read the right answers. Here we go. Number 1, 2 sevens, 3 sevens, 4 sevens, 4 sevens, 3 tens, 7 tens, 9 tens, 9 tens, 3 eights, 5 eights, 5 eights, 2, 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 2, 4, 2, 10, 2. Next column. 6, 3, 6, 12, 9, 9, 5, 10, 4, 20, 5, 15, 3, 9, 15, 21, 35, 42, 21, 48. Did you start counting? Did you start counting?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Just remember, for those students who are going to be able to do that and get all the way through them, you need to have a prompt for what to count. And when you have to be the teacher in front of them, you still have to count by. Notice I have my count by list, so if someone cut that way, so I wouldn't have to think about it, do that and have it ready. Make yourself doing that kind of thing. Okay, now, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, what kind of patterns did you notice?
Well,
They would reverse.
yeah, like
10, 11, or,
yeah,
5 times 1/8, then it's 1/8.
times 5, like commutative
Yes,
property.
and
type
then
thing.
there- and divided by 5 is 10 times the same.
That's the whole way.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So you found patterns, correct? Your job as a teacher is to let the students discover the patterns. Patterns make sense to kids, and we want to build on those patterns. Now, how many did you get right on this one? Don't tell me out loud. Write it down on the corner. There's a place to write correct. And then I want you to go back to sprint A. Look how many you got correct on sprint A. There is a place on the middle that says improvement. How many did you improve? So, write those down.
Is it typical for kids to improve on the second one?
Absolutely, that's because you've done that Oreo cookie
And
magic.
you do them both in the same day?
Absolutely, within 5 minutes of each other. I'm going to pass 4 back, send 1 right here. Okay, now, this is a piece that if I was going to be doing data collection, all right? If I'm doing data collection and I have to show that students are improving, I don't want to compare sprint on Monday to sprint on Tuesday. They may not be the same thing. So I want to compare, did they grow from sprint A to sprint B? This table I just passed out to you is one way that maybe you could just have in the student's notebook. It's not the only way, it's just one way I thought. So right now, I want you to put in number sprint. Okay, what number is this? Let's take a look at the top corner. Top right-hand corner, can you see it says 5-4? That means grade 5, module 4, but it's not the next thing you need. It also says it's lesson 14. So up in that top column, I might say 5-4-14. Because if I want to go back and look at this, if my student did not do well at all, what skill was being looked at? I need to know. So, I mean, I could have had a date put in there, but that's not going to tell me what they did. So have it recorded that way. And then you can have them put their sprint A correct, their sprint B correct, and the change. Now, what if the kids suddenly had a coughing attack and they didn't get as many done? If they go and they don't improve, you could also introduce maybe writing if they went backwards in red, indicating some negative numbers. You know, you might be able to introduce things like that as well. You could have them graph if you want them to make their own little bar charts in their notebooks. You could have them graph. But as a teacher, if I'm looking for formative assessment, this is a good baseline for me to look at. Now you have a couple of options. You can collect both sprints if you have the children write their names on them, or you can send the sprints home. That is your call as a teacher. Me, I want to look at them.
We have them write their name on the back,
Sure.
and then we say ready, set.
And they flip them over. Excellent. Okay, so here's a quote. Sprints intentionally move from simple to complex problems that the lowest performing student can always have success with the earlier problems. Did you notice like problems 1 through 10 were a little bit easier than problems 35 to 44? Okay. The highest performing students, if they're not able to complete all the problems, the goal is not for students to complete a set number of problems in a set time. It's not even given a grade. It's rather for students to become self-aware of their own improvement. And I will show you several places where we can get you these documents. So I'll show you where you can go and get all sorts of information here. We're going to get into your binders now. You picked them up a half an hour ago, and I'm finally going to let you get in there. So from the very beginning of the binder, you open it up and you should have a color-coded page, right? And then it goes into the very first page is the terms of use. The terms of use said, you're free to use this personally, you're free to use this in education, you are not free to use it to sell something for profit. Okay? If you use this stuff, yep, I'm going to use it all I want for my class, I'm going to use it all I want in my school, but I'm not going to take it and put it online and put it on teachers pay teachers and someone pay me. Illegal. Okay? Now, keep going, turn the page, There's a page called Fluency Practice, and it's got a purpose statement. It's got a box at the top, yes? Okay, so the purpose statement is to promote mathematical fluency. Do you see how to use the activities? And there's 2 links in there. Do you see those? The first link is a 5.5-minute video, and you're watching teachers talk about the Engaged New York materials, the fluency materials, the whiteboard activities. You're hearing them talk about sprints, and a teacher who said, okay, I screwed up. I started my kids with a sprint, and it was way too hard, and so I had to back off and find something else, and the advice is stick with it. It will work out. And so if you need to have a little bit of extra encouragement, that's the first link on this page here. The second link is directions about administering the sprints. The go, raw, go, teacher says this, you do that, this is the time, this is what happens next. And they end it with a Robin rally, where for a minute, kids pair up, one person says a strategy, how I was successful, the partner says a strategy, how they were successful, and they change back and forth. I found this pattern, this worked for me, I divided by the numerator, I divided by the denominator, multiplied by the numerator, those kind of things. Strategies back and forth to help cement it in. All that's written down for you. I'm not going to take your time to do it now. Keep turning in your book. The next thing you're gonna find is sideways. It's an Excel spreadsheet that's color-coded. Okay? We've talked about achieve the core, green, blue, and red, and yellow. Green is a major cluster. No matter what, I'm going to teach that one deeply. Blue is supporting and yellow is additional. So if I'm looking sideways on this, I see the columns are module numbers, page numbers, the amount of time that this whole setup is going to take, and the standard it matches. Okay, I'm getting this document here in the middle of February. You're 3/4 through your school year. Where do you start? You've got options, folks. You can start back on day one. The fluency activities are meant to be fluency building, not matching whatever you're working with. But could I match it to what I'm working with? Sure. Let's say I'm working on 3rd grade and I'm working on multiplying. Well, maybe I want to go back and I want to build some things for that child who isn't getting any of it. I can go back and do those and match them up to standards. That's a long document. So that's that roadmap of activities and what the colors mean. And we talked about those achieve the course. You okay with that? Okay, that goes on and on and on for like 10, 15 pages worth. And now, I want you to get to the very first lesson 1. Right in front of it, there should be a title page that says Module 1 on it. That's the big idea that you're going to be covering. Does yours not have that? Okay. 4th grade does. 4th grade does. Give a blank page. Okay, fine. 4th grade got lovely extras. But do you all find lesson 1?
Yeah.
Do you see that colored pie chart? Okay, that pie chart would be for the whole entire class math activities. We are providing you only the fluency practice, only that kind of burgundy color. So you can kind of see how this fits into your whole math time frame, whether you've got 60 minutes or however many minutes that you've allocated for math. That's what is taking care of it, and so I put that pie chart on there. Some of the lessons will have notes to the side, some won't. So if you find things with notes, please read them. But then it tells you what you're going to do. I happen to have a 4th grade book in front of me. My lesson 1 says it's going to take 13 minutes. I'm going to do a sprint, and I'm going to talk about place value. It tells me what to have. It tells me what to say. It tells me what to do. And I'm done. Most of the time, we included the application problem from the lesson with you. If you want to know how it might, the objective of the lesson might be a place, in a word problem, but we didn't actually give you the concept development. We didn't give you the homework, all those things. If you want them, they're online. We're giving you things for fluency practice. So, the colored pie chart, we talked about that. That's the fluency part. It's not your whole lesson. It's a tiny part. So talk to me about how you see this fitting into what you do for math. What can you let go and put this in?
We do it, so, I mean,
What did you let go to put it in?
what we were piecing together, because we didn't have a math curriculum.
Yeah, so this is our math curriculum. I mean, like, we do.
Word for word, day by day.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I was trying to figure out where we were.
Okay.
We got something that we bought off Teachers Pay Teachers, and they have a fluency piece, but it's just cards. It's just, dot cards and finger cards, and 1st grade has 10 frames and then number ID cards, so this would be a nice addition to that, or supplement. I mean, because they like that, and at the beginning of the year it was really good, but now it's just so monotonous.
It's not,
Yeah,
not as
so-
effective.
Yeah,
If
so
I'm a
this is-
kindergarten teacher, I have 2 binders because they gave me tons and tons of black line masters and 10 frames and dot cards and images and counters and, okay, it's really nice. You've got everything you need right there. What I need when I walk through this, if it requires an activity, for like in 4th grade, they wanted place value discs. I don't have place value discs. They give you a black line master, ready to put in the photocopier. Notice these are only printed on one side of the paper. So when you put them in a photocopier, there's no bleed through. And you can copy as many as you want. On the lesson I'm thinking here for 4th grade, it wanted them on color. They tell you what color of paper to put in. I mean, it's really, yes, you have to go to the photocopier, but they really tell you what to do. The black line masters are needed you find them at point of use. Now, what if they're referenced in lesson 12 and they also come back in lesson 18? You don't get them both places. But lesson 18 will say, black line master found in lesson 12. So you know where to go back and find it. So if you jump in the middle of the book, which is okay, you know what, if something's missing, where to go.
I'm a little confused, and maybe I'm the only one, but okay, so is this isn't all of Engage New York stuff?
No, this is a portion.
Okay, so I'm in 5th grade, lesson 1, and that has to do with, place value of decimals. But then the sprint is.
May not have anything to do with the same two things.
So this is the counting activity then, is that?
Okay, tell me what you got here. Can I read over your shoulder? What do we got?
Well, sure, but, cause didn't you say that the lesson had like 4 different parts and one was counting and one was?
You don't have to do them all at the same time. There are 3 things that you're gonna find in fluency, then all 3 things won't appear in every lesson. So this particular one has a sprint of practicing for multiplying by 10. It's got a rename the units and it's got a decimal values. So I've got 12 minutes, and so here's the sprint, which is 8 minutes worth. Here's what they want you to do for the oral response, and to say that, and then here's the decimal practice, and I'm done.
Okay, so there's more to the sprint than, or the fluency building than just the sprint.
Right. I only had you
got
do
it.
the sprint because no one knows what a sprint
Sure.
is. So that's why we engaged with the sprint.
So always right at that top under fluency, it'll tell you what you're gonna do for fluency that day.
Yep. And look ahead, you know, don't open it up on Monday and expect to do it on Monday, because maybe they had you to get the whiteboards ready. What if you don't have whiteboards? Do you have page protectors? Put a piece of cardboard in there. What they're recommending is a piece of white paper on the front and a piece of red paper on the bottom. So you can turn it over and you see the red paper, you know that group's done. And then, you know, if you have the page protectors, you can slip in coordinate planes, or you could slip in whatever grid you're working with and do those kind of things, because my classroom didn't always have whiteboards either.
Blank number lines.
Absolutely.
Answers to these too?
No, answers or you do the answers. So I made my answer key myself, and then I had to check it because I'm in front of teachers. So no, no answer keys, you do them yourself. What questions do you have, folks? I took up all of my long time, yes.
So we got this because it's a piece that we can add to what we're doing. I
Yes.
get that. Are we gonna get more pieces to Engage New York?
If you want more pieces, Engage New York online. Right now, it's completely open, and you can do the entire curriculum if you so desire.
So everything's on that.
Everything's on there for Common Core. Remember, we are in the state of Iowa, and so if I'm a 2nd grade teacher, I am adding in my 2nd grade Iowa standards, time and money.
Oh, yes.
Not in there.
Oh, guess what we're doing tomorrow?
We're looking for time and money, yes. Okay, these are our first attempts, folks, to help you build fluency with your students. I wish that you would pick them up and take them and use them every single day. Get rid of any time tests that you are doing. Administration, I hope, will go with that. And replace it with fluencies that are going to make a difference. Remember the discussion, and this should build really well off of your number talks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane.
Okay.